Welcome to Light Her Up, your go-to podcast for exploring what it means to align with your passions and create a life filled with freedom, ease, and fulfillment. I'm your host, Natalie Bernacki, a mom, entrepreneur, and certified coach who left a 15-year corporate career to build a life aligned with my passions and help other women do the same. We'll be diving deep into topics like self-discovery, mindset shifts, and the courage to pursue the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you for being here and for prioritizing yourself. I'm honored to be a part of your journey. If you're ready to find your joy, reclaim your identity, and upgrade your life, you're in the right place. Now let's light it up. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Light Her Up podcast. Today, I'm coming to you solo with an episode that's going to be a little bit more personal, a little bit more spiritual, and one that I actually think so many of you are going to resonate with. We are talking about spirituality, not religion, not rituals or rules, but that deep intuitive connection to something that's bigger than us, and how that connection helped carry me through some of my hardest seasons. So if you've ever felt like there just has to be more than hustle, more than the daily grind, more than the pressure that's constantly on you, you're right. And I cannot wait to share you how I found it and how you can too. So before we dive in, let me ask you this. Are you holding back from starting your business or from fully living your dream life? Your business is a huge part of your life. So why would you spend so much time and energy there if you're not fully lit up? Why would you pour all that effort into something that doesn't really excite you? What's really holding you back from going all in? I can tell you, my friend Emily and I have been there. We had these really big burning visions for our lives. And for a while, we were hiding. We were hiding behind other roles, other identities, other people. And it wasn't until we found true support from each other and the community that everything shifted. We inspired each other. We held each other accountable. And we finally started taking the scary action that brought our visions to life. And the best part in doing that, we were able to help other women as well. And that is exactly why we created our mastermind. And we are so excited to finally bring it online. This is a space where your biggest, boldest, most ambitious dreams are welcome. There's more than enough room at the table because this table was made for you. It's a community that sees you truly as the ambitious, intuitive, wildly capable woman who you are. So get on the wait list. The link is in the show notes. You'll be the first to know when the doors open. And trust me, you do not want to miss this. Okay, so I've talked about this in previous episodes, but there was a time in my life where on the surface, everything looked fine. But inside, I felt this restlessness that I can't explain. I was checking all the boxes, doing the things, achieving the goals, but something in me was still searching for something deeper and more meaningful. And I didn't have the words for it at the time, but now I know what it is. I was longing for spiritual connection. That search led me to personal development. That's where it all started. I read so many books. They became my first doorway. I remember reading Gabby Bernstein and also listening to books on Audible while I was like gardening or on a walk or on a run. And I remember Gabby Bernstein introducing this idea that the universe is always working in our favor, that we are always supported, that we can surrender, control, and trust. And it truly like unearthed something inside me. Wayne Dyer, he taught me that life isn't just happening to us, it's happening for us. Every challenge, every loss, every frustration is part of a greater unfolding. His words helped me begin to see pain through a new lens, not as something to escape from, but as something to learn from. And it didn't stop at books, and I read a lot of books by a lot more authors. That curiosity turned into a fascination with the spiritual realm. psychics, mediums, Akashic records, Reiki. I didn't just want to read about energy, I wanted to feel it. And what I found along the way was beyond anything that I could have expected. So every time that I booked a reading with a psychic or an intuitive or a medium, it didn't even have to be a medium. It was literally any kind of um, energy healing, intuitive type of session. Without fail, my late grandma would come through every single time, and not in very, vague, generalized ways. The messages were clear, they were specific, they were so personal. The way she talked, the phrases she used, these details, there's like no way no one else could have known these. And that was the moment when I stopped doubting, the moment that I knew she was still with me. Once I opened that connection with my grandma, I also then had dreams that were so real. So real, I swear I could feel her. I could smell the scents of her perfume, and I could see everything crisp and clear and like vivid. And then when my mom passed away in 2023, she began showing up too. It was really subtle at first, and it kind of made me sad because I was thinking like, wow, how come she doesn't want to come visit me like my grandma does? But I did feel her presence. I'd hear her laugh. I'd get messages through dreams or random signs that landed with perfect timing. Like it could only be her. Then it all clicked. Everything is energy. Everything, our thoughts, our emotions, our souls, our presence. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred. So when someone dies, their physical may be gone, their physical body like might be gone, but their energy remains. It shifts, it moves, but it does not vanish. And that realization changed everything for me. How small would it be to believe that this is all there is? That our lives begin and end in this one lifetime on this spinning planet in a universe that is just so vast, we can barely comprehend it. I actually can't comprehend it. I like when I start thinking about it too much, I start to trip out when I'm thinking about it in too much depth. And this world is not too magical, it's not too connected. So, before I opened up my mind and my perspective to spirituality and the fact that there has to be something bigger than us, some purpose that's larger than us, I was stuck in the doing. I felt overwhelmed, unanchored, and unsure of really what my purpose was. I had many moments of deep exhaustion and emotional confusion. And I'd think all the time, is this it? Is this really all there is to life? And it wasn't like I thought life was boring. I had a great life. I had accomplished many dreams. I lived at the beach that I've been wanting to live at. But I'd have the same routine every day. I'd wake up, I'd go to work to make money so that I could pay my bills, buy clothes, go on vacation. And it didn't make sense to me that the main purpose of being on earth, or at least for many Americans with our culture and work ethic, is to work. When I thought about like me being on my deathbed, I don't want to think that my main purpose was working for a tech startup in customer success and account management. And for those of you who are new to this podcast, I did that for over 15 years. And yes, I need to make money to survive, to provide for my children, but there just had to be a way to do it where I was also making an impact, where I'm serving community and being able to spend more time with my family who I missed so much when I was working. So I hit a pretty big low mentally. I was burned out. I was depressed. I felt stuck. And like there was no way out of my situation. Now I know there is, but during that time, it felt like I was never going to get out of that situation. So I did what any woman who's feeling lost in her late 30s would do. I went to a psychic. I went to a psychic because I wanted someone to tell me what to do. And I was kind of skeptical, but someone I know referred me over and said that this psychic was amazing and that she had the best experience. She nailed everything. And so I tried her out. The day of that session, I had asked my late grandma out loud. I said, Nanny, if you're with me, please be at this session and send me a sign and let me know you're there. And at the beginning of the session, the psychic went through some expectation settings and she said that she was a psychic and a medium. So she could see things that haven't happened yet and intuitively know things. And with her mediumship, she could also connect with people on the other side who have passed. So she also mentioned that when people who have passed or spirit guides or anything like that that are coming through, when they talk to her, she doesn't know how it's going to come through. So she said sometimes she hears them talking, sometimes, it'll make her like talk in tongue or say like make really strange noises. And then sometimes it'll come through her body through like a feeling of numbness, or getting chest pains, like usually indicating the part of the body that has something to do with the person who passed. So like if someone had their leg amputated, her leg would go numb. If someone had a heart attack, she would feel chest pains. So anyway, all of a sudden, we're just sitting there in this very like serene little room and she starts going ding dong, ding dong. And I started laughing because she looked so funny doing this. And I had like no idea where this was coming from. It came out of the blue. So then she said something like, there's something with a bell. There's something with a bell and a front door. And then she was like, your grandma passed away, right? And I was like, yeah. And she said, and did she have something at her front door that was like something like a bell that sounds kind of funny, like a doorbell that had like a funny chime? And I said, not that I can remember. And then it hit me. My grandma had this really big old grandfather clock that she had got from her mother. And it was always by the front door. I've always lived with my grandma since I was like super young, like 3 years old or something. And it was always by the front door. And every hour, the grandfather clock would chime. And at midnight and noon, it would do an even longer chime. And it would be like, dun, 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 dun. Like, I will never forget it. So, anyway, I told the psychic that it was a grandfather clock. And the psychic had a clipboard in her hand. She was sitting like on like a couch, like a big couch, a solo couch. Yeah, a love seat, I guess is what you would call it. I don't know. So she was sitting on that really comfortable, and she had a clipboard and a paper, and she was drawing on it, and she turned it around. As soon as I said it was a grandfather clock, she had no time to draw any further. She turned it around and there was a picture of a clock that she had previously drawn. So I froze, I laughed, I cried. That was my grandma. That was Nanny. And then the psychic proceeded to stick her thumb out. And it was like she was giving me a big thumbs up. And she said, your grandma wants you to know that it sticks out like a sore thumb and you need to update it. And again, like I was immediately like so many feelings. I was relieved that it was her coming through. And I was overwhelmed with emotion because I was connecting with my grandma who had passed, who was like such a big part of my life. I lived with her since I was like 3. She was like a second mom to me. I was very close with her. And then I was sad because I missed her and happy, like all of the emotions. So I started getting overwhelmed because I actually kept that grandfather clock after my grandma passed. It's not aesthetically attractive at all, but it was so sentimental to me. And I kept it to honor and remember her. And also because I felt like I needed to like keep it safe and protect it since it was also sentimental to her. And it's in our living room. And it definitely does not go with anything in our house. It's super outdated. It's from like 1918, but I cannot get rid of it. And there was so much more that I got out of that session, but that was the beginning of a deeper relationship with my spirituality. So I went all in. And my friends joked that I was on a spiritual deep dive. And honestly, it felt like that. It felt like I was on some sort of like spiritual retreat tour. It got to the point where like my husband was like, "Who are you seeing today?" Every session, every healer, every conversation opened up a new doorway. I had Reiki sessions where I felt energy physically moving through my body. I had aura readings where the reader described visions and symbols that only I could interpret. I had Akashic record readings that revealed past life wounds I didn't even know that I was carrying. And once revealed, they made so much sense. I saw many psychics and mediums. I had past life regressions where I saw three of my past lives. And by the way, that was really freaking cool. High level, quickly. I was a farm girl living on a prairie in middle America in the 20s. We didn't have a lot, but I loved that life. It was slow and peaceful and simple. The second life I saw, I was a super wealthy royal member of the Russian Tsar, but I hated that life because I felt trapped and I couldn't be who I wanted to be. And then the third life was I was an extremely poor kid in France and I had to do manual labor starting from a really young age. Everyone in my family struggled and it was a really hard life. So they were three wildly different lives and I was able to actually vividly see these through this past life regression I did. It was like a 6-hour experience and it was pretty cool. So that was a side tangent, but the more that I did this work, the more I started to notice something really powerful. My own intuition was getting stronger. I started hearing messages in my meditations. I'd feel guided towards certain decisions. I'd journal a question and receive an answer in the form of like a sudden knowing, a nudge, or even just a phrase. And yes, it felt weird at first. I doubted myself. I thought, am I making this up? Is this just wishful thinking? Is this just a coincidence? But then I started tracking patterns. The messages I received, the signs I noticed, they aligned. They matched what later came to pass as well. It was sort of like I was having conversation with the universe. And this is where astrology and numerology and human design started to come into my world. I remember looking at my birth chart and being absolutely floored by how accurate it was. How can these planetary alignments, these zodiac signs, design archetypes, how can they be so specific, so spot on if there isn't a higher source? It just makes too much sense. I'm a manifesting generator in human design, and learning that really helped me understand why I'm multi-passionate, why I move fast, why I need freedom to follow what lights me up. It was like my permission slip to be who I already was and how I was designed. And don't even get me started on numerology. That also is amazing, cracked me open. I began noticing recurring numbers at moments of decisions or emotional breakdowns. It felt like a language my soul already knew, and the universe was just using it to guide me. And honestly, it tracks. The people thousands of years ago who studied astrology and sacred numbers, lunar rhythms, they were tapped in, they were connected. We like to think we're the most advanced generation because we have tech, but in so many ways, those ancient civilizations were far more spiritually evolved. They trusted the stars, they trusted the elements, they trusted the unseen. And the more I opened up to these tools, the more I understood that these weren't separate systems. They were maps all back to myself, maps back to my truth. They're tools for self awareness, healing, and my own self trust. So, this part of my spiritual journey really challenged what I thought I believed. I had to release old conditioning about what I thought was real And I had to give myself permission to believe in the unseen. Meditation became my church. Journaling became my sanctuary. Oracle cards were like love notes. And walks in nature became conversations with the divine. And with each practice, I felt more clarity, more calm, and more connection. And it wasn't just spiritual, it was also deeply physical. My nervous system relaxed, my anxiety quieted, my energy was grounded, and I began to really trust myself again. Since embracing my spirituality, life has become more meaningful too. It's become more peaceful, and I feel so much more supported. I still face hard things. I still feel pain. I still deeply miss the people that I've lost, and I miss them often. But now I don't feel alone or disconnected from them. And even though I do get sad, I do have a sense of relief and peace knowing that they're here with me and that I can literally talk to them whenever I want to. So here's what changed. I trust my intuition more than ever. I lead from energy, not urgency. And I know when to pause, when to push, and when to pray. I'm no longer afraid of death because I understand that energy never ends. Grief is still hard. I don't love the feeling of loss, but I don't fear it. I know I can still connect. I know I can still receive love from beyond. So, what I wish I had known back then, before my spiritual journey started, that there is no right way to be spiritual, that I don't have to wait for permission, that I was already connected. I just had to learn and remember how to listen. So, for the woman listening who feels like she's in her figuring it out season, maybe you're grieving, maybe you're curious, maybe you're craving something deeper, or you know that there's more for you, this is your sign. You're not alone. You're already connected to something bigger, and you're already being guided. Let yourself explore, let yourself believe, let yourself receive. So, to wrap things up today, I would love to give you all some quick reflection prompts. So, when you have time, sit down and journal. When in your life have you felt deeply supported or guided? And what simple spiritual practice could help you reconnect to that support this week? Think going outside on a walk with no tech, no phone, no headphones, no podcasts, just you and nature. Think sitting outside in the morning, putting your feet in the grass, journaling, meditating. There's so many things you can do, breath work. And here's your challenge for the week. I want you to ask for a sign from your guides, from your higher self, or even loved ones from the other side. This could look like asking them for a specific symbol, asking them to show you like a phrase, a number, a specific animal, journaling a letter to your future self or to someone you miss. And then stay open. Watch what comes. Let yourself be surprised. Let yourself be supported. If this episode spoke to you, screenshot it, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at Natalie Bernacchi or at Light Her Up Podcast so I can celebrate you. And if you haven't already, I would be so grateful if you left me a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It takes 2 seconds and it helps out so much. I love you, and I will catch you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Light Her Up. I hope you're feeling inspired and ready to take steps towards a life better than you ever dreamed. I see you, I hear you, and I'm so proud of you for showing up and prioritizing your journey. When you fill up your cup with love, you can pour so much more into the people and passions that matter to you most. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you subscribed, left a review, and shared it with someone who could use a little extra light. For more, check out our weekly 5-minute meditations or connect with me on Instagram at The Light Within Collective. I'm sending you my love, and I'll catch you on the next episode.